Local groups. This command allows you to group specific or certain elements or entities with a specific name. So you can later on use this grouping for visibility control, to isolate, to show, to hide, or you can use it to export and import. We'll see that later in the next video for export. There are two modes for it. It's either you can group elements after you model them, or you record them before you group them. We've seen in the last videos that you can use the start and end to record the elements or any entities you model into the project file, and then when you hit end, it will load this dialog here. But if you already modeled elements and you want to group certain elements, you can launch this dialog, and then we'll see all the elements in it. So let's do the first mode, which is you record elements in advance, and this is recommended first because when you have a big model, you will need to select those elements to group them. But when you modeling, it's a lot easier to mark the start of recording and then end it, and then you don't have to select any. So for instance, I'm gonna use the first mode, start. So I click the start. Now it says element grouping started, and then you can start modeling. Let's say I want to insert some walls. So this, you can also use the regular Revit commands as well. Anything that you add to the project files will be recorded. And then once you're done, you hit end, and now it allows you here to give it those. So those three walls will have a unique name for grouping. So you can modify them later on, or use the visibility control, hide, isolate, show. And here, if you have, so it gives you category. You can assign any category. There's no restrictions. It's up to you. This is just for convenience. So if you're looking for beam groups, or you're looking for columns, so all these the types or categories, by default it's a profile. So here I can select walls, and when you click this one, and there's a drop down here, if it has any previously defined grouping, it will appear here. Like for instance, if I had in previous videos, I created some grouping for stick frames. So for wall, there's none, so you can create a new name. So we can say anything, sample 3 walls. Now all you have to do, you didn't have to select anything because you already recorded these 3 walls by start and end. Then all you have to do is just hit OK. Now it tells you 3 entities have been added. Again, entities could be anything that you can visibly see in the project file. So now let's add some columns like this. Okay, so now we didn't start any recording or end it. So if you want to group them with the second mode, after the fact, after you model, you click group, and then this would be column. You create a name, we call it sample columns. When you hit OK, now when you click OK here, it will ask you to select elements. So for convenience also, there's a filter here. So if you want to do only columns, if you do like a rectangle selection set or things like that, you have a congested model. So here also a second tier of filtering. So here I can say columns and say OK. Now if you look at the prompt here, select elements by rectangle to add the selection set. So I can, here if I do like this, it will only pick the columns element here. Once you finish selection, you hit finish, and it tells you 3 entities, even though in the process of selection. Some stick frame model lines were selected, but it filtered only the columns into the selection set. When you hit OK, now if you go back to grouping, if you go to column, you will see here, and it tells you the available. So these three columns have been given a name as a group. They're not geometrically, just a name, a unique name for them. So you can go to, let's say you want to modify them, you go modify, and here local group, and these are the local group that we just created. So now here you can select all, and you can have all of these modification tools on them, or you can isolate or hide or show. And also you can export. We'll see that in the next video. So export is will mark also these three columns as exportable entities that you can import into a different project file. That's why this is called local group. That means it's only it's a group only for this particular project files. And we'll see you in the next video for export and import. Thank you.